I'm setting pen to paper again. Lost my sense of home from the words that I said. But the thoughts have begun to ferment in my head, and content manifest don't feel good enough for them. So I try and transcend my ego, but don't we know it will never work. Maybe I'll just descend to dirt, flirt with becoming food for worms.
To me, Ramblings of a Lunatic is about one key topic. It's about a writer's block that I was experiencing after the death of one of my very close friends.
The first time Ian played me Ramblings of a Lunatic, I think we might have been in Mikey's house, but I do know we were sitting on a floor and there was like a single speaker just over there, and Ian was literally playing the demo from their phone that they'd recorded the other day. I don't know, it sounded like a Bears and Trees song, which was nice. That's always a good sign.
We were at a friend's house and we were kind of all sat along on the sofa and just having a really lovely evening. And he comes to me and says, I've just got this little phone recording I want to show you. So I put the headphones in and started listening, and it was just this really beautiful kind of raw. It wasn't recorded well, but that's what I kind of loved about it, and it was so simple and just really heartfelt, and I could tell that it really meant a lot to him.
I think I first remember hearing the song, like Ian played the song, was when we were in a rehearsal studio and we were having a break from rehearsals, and Ian picked up Nick's acoustic guitar and just started playing it, and we all just kind of listened. I think I like fiddled around a song on ukulele, but really just kind of was listening to Ian play it. I think I'd heard the song before. I think Ian had sent a voice note of him playing it at one point and I heard it, but I'd never heard Ian play it. Just this like perfectly well-rounded song. It kind of had its sections, the da da after one of the choruses. Just kind of needs that just to elongate that chorus. It's just such a nice well-rounded song. We didn't want to change it in any way.
And at that point the song was already in a really good place, and I didn't want to ruin it from this amazing thing he'd already created. So in terms of the production, I never wanted to go too far with it. I always wanted to keep it very simple, true to its original form.
We knew what was happening in their life and what was happening to their friends. I don't know, it felt like a kind of catharsis, I suppose. It felt like their way of telling us how they were feeling without actually having to sit us down and have what would have been probably quite a long, quite intense conversation. So it got that out of the way, which was quite nice. I think the first time I heard it and the first time we heard it, we knew that was going to be one of our next singles. There was no doubt about it. It's very rare that a fully fledged song comes to Bears and Trees straight away and have it ready to go out just like that. But you know, it felt like a new beginning. It felt like a new chapter. It's like that was where we were. That was where we were going to go. That kind of informed the entire recording process for I Want to Feel Chaotic and Keep Me Safe after that. Ian, you're watching this. It was really, really good, is what I'm trying to say.
Every time I would go to write, I couldn't write about anything that was kind of genuine, authentic, of substance. I came up with a couple lines like the transcend my ego, descend to dirt bit, wiping dental records clean is the carcass even me. But for the most part, I couldn't write. When I did write, it would come out very abstract. I was using words and abstract ideas to escape the current situation I was, to escape addressing my feelings. If I wasn't doing that, I was really struggling to write about anything that was happening in my life of substance because I couldn't deal with it. So if I went to it with language, I would fall apart. When I eventually did write it, it was like I picked up a guitar and was like, okay, I'm addressing this. And I just started singing along with these really simple guitar chords. I started with, I'm setting pen to paper again, really nice starting point. All right, I'm writing now. And then from that point onwards, it all just kind of flowed out of me. This idea that whatever I write isn't coming out because the ideas are just festering in my head. It was like I was making all these strange connections and I was running down rabbit holes looking for the reason why I couldn't write. I was searching for this ultimate answer. I'd come to a few conclusions, it being a result of me accepting that I'm deserving of forgetting and no one should remember me. And then it kind of came to the crux of it with the bridge. I realized that it was the fact that I was terrified everyone I loved was going to die. It was those fears. It was that grief that I was refusing to tackle. Once I eventually did write it all, it was so cathartic. I literally started crying immediately afterwards.
Why has constructing sentences become like pulling teeth? Wiping dental records clean? Is the carcass even me? Is this catharsis therapeutic plunge to darkness, or elaborating upon my mediocrity? Maybe this is a result of me finally accepting that I'll be alone forever, that I deserve forgetting. It's a pointless endeavour, and maybe it's upsetting, but I've never felt more comfortable in the concept of things ending.
The production of the song was always going to be quite simple, just to keep it true to its original form. So the whole thing is based around the acoustic guitar, which is the first thing you hear. And then there's other bits of interest that come in and out that I use to create the depth. So you hear the ukulele that comes in, there's a beautiful piano sound in there. Then during the bridge there's this synth that comes in, and that was kind of used to really open it up and widen the song at that point. The bass and the percussion, again, really simple. The bass is just a pure sine wave with a few sort of harmonics in there as well, just to bring it out a bit more. But it's just really simple and just underpins the whole mix. The drums are just a sampled kick, so I just took a sample I already had, and then 2 lots of layered snares. One was normal snare drum but with the wires on the bottom really loosened up, and then the other one was rim clicked, and they're layered together, and it just kind of keeps everything driving along.
I mean, Ian wrote the guitar part, but I played it. I think different people played the same part very differently. Yeah, no, there was nothing that had to be changed about the guitar part. It was really simple. It was rhythmic. It's like 3 chords, I think. Maybe there are 4 chords in the chorus. But yeah, it's a really simple guitar part, and it's usually only a single note that changes in each chord. It's just really not like, it's simple, like there's nothing, there doesn't have to be anything technical about it. I think I added some harmonics to the post-chorus, which I thought were quite nice. I'm not really a lead guitarist, so when I want to add flavour and I can't write a solo, I'll just find whatever harmonics sound nice and I'll track those over. And I think it gives it that kind of fragile feel, which we were going for. I know George probably talks about how when he heard it, he didn't want to add anything to it because it was so perfect as it was, and I think it's similar for me. There was nothing that had to be added or changed. It was just there. It was like a present on Christmas, except it was, I don't know, September. So Christmas came early.
When we were recording this, or when we were writing it, the core aspect of the song is Ian singing and the guitar part, and like that's the core song, and that's the important bit. So once the guitar was recorded, the guitar wasn't going to change much. The guitar is there to support, but on top of that is the vocals, and the lyrics are so important in this song. Like that's what people want to hear. You know, would anyone listen to this, the ramblings of a lunatic, if you can't hear what the words are saying? No one's going to listen to it. And when we were adding harmonies, it's a song which is quite easy to sing over. You could add harmonies for the whole of the whole song, just the third above, and it'd be really easy. But when we were adding it, we had to be really conscious about what we wanted to add. I remember, I think a word we kept saying while we were recording was intimacy, as if it was that experience again of sitting in that rehearsal room and having Ian just play it to you. That's the kind of experience you need to get, but with the added bonus of harmonies and having it in your ears. That's because we wanted that first chorus to be, would anyone listen to this, the ramblings of a lunatic? Just that single strums on the guitar and Ian's vocals over the top. And then as we went through, we added some oohs. There's one harmony line in the second chorus, and then that last chorus would have been really easy and really possible to layer it with a chorus of harmonies, to add like more guitar parts, to add like extra drum parts on over that last chorus and really like fill it out. But it's not what it needed. I think we still need to have that intimacy, but just to be a bit expanded. So I think there's only 3 harmony lines. There's the lead vocal, there's an octave up, and then there's a harmony in between the 2. And then there's some oohs in the background. And that's it for the vocals. Normally in our last choruses of songs, we're kind of pumping out vocals and filling in layers and layers and layers, but this isn't what this needed. The bridge, me and Ian have done this a couple of times now, where we swap between the singing lead vocal and then singing harmony. So like the first time it's Ian singing lead, me singing harmony, and then the next line is me singing lead and Ian singing harmony. And it's so difficult to swap when you're doing it live, but I think it adds such a nice, especially in a bridge when you're trying to kind of mix things up a bit, where you kind of listen to it and you're like, okay, and then it changes, and you're like, wait, is Callum now singing the lead line? And then it kind of, you're thinking, actually, what line is the lead line? You know, what one's a harmony? And swapping between the 2. We love doing that. It's so fun. I think it's a really nice feature, which perhaps you don't notice the first couple of times you listen to it.
I think we learnt quite a lot during the songwriting process, because it kind of gave us a different way of working, in that quite often we'll all sit down together and take a song from nothing to 100%. With this, we had a rough idea, and we we built around it, but we didn't let it sort of shout. We let the song speak for itself. And sometimes the song doesn't need to be big and loud. It can just be comfortable where it is. And I think we've had a really good response to it. I'm really happy with the production of it. And I think we definitely experimented with some new sounds in there, in the way we did the drums, in the bass and the synth, and just the way we constructed the whole song.
I mean, aesthetically, it was like calm and chaotic at the same time. But it really is one of those songs that just happened in a specific moment. And there was no point trying to recreate that moment, because the moment is the moment and the moment is there. And you just want to put that moment out. You don't want to try and perfect it, because it's still going to be rough around the edges and it's still going to be a bit imperfect. But that is life, and there's no point trying to change that. I was really happy with the music video, personally. I directed it. I think it captures the essence. We must have drawn like 40 or 50 pieces of paper that were references to the album, to upcoming songs, to songs we'd written. And we plastered Cam's wall with those pieces of paper that we'd done in like oil pastels. And it was really fun, because it's like there are like splashes of colour against Callum's pure white walls, and I feel like that kind of conjures up the song aesthetically. It feels like it's trying to find a brand new beginning while knowing that brand newness is impossible, right? So it's like white and pure, but you'll never get away from these splashes of colour and these bursts of intensity which come up over time. And I think that's what I and we were trying to get at in the music video. In the album art that our very good friend Mags did, and in the kind of aesthetic direction we took for those photos, and that we took for the chaotic era. The lyric that really spoke to me was, "Maybe I'll just descend to dirt, flirt with becoming food for worms." Like, I think the really heavy, intense lyrics are good. Like, originally I wanted to call the EP "All My Friends Are Dying," but no one else wanted to. But no, I think "Flirt with Becoming Food for Worms" is nice, because it's kind of cute, and it feels kind of small and insular, and poetics are great, and it's a really poetic song. But that is a really nice, not immature, but like really simple metaphor, which reminds me of the music we love and the music that inspired us when we were growing up.
I think the reason why people like it is because whether they've experienced the same trauma as me, everyone has the same fragility bubbling under the surface, the same worries or similar worries, and they feel like that everyone has it together except for them, and they're losing their minds, and they don't know how to process their emotions. They don't know how to put words to it. And I think the fragility of the song, and with the vulnerability of the lyrics, I think that people needed that.
Maybe this writer's block that I've been perceiving is to stop me diving deeply into my internal being and falling into darkness below my surface tension, emotional suppression, my coping mechanism, because all my friends are dying, some faster than the others, lungs filling up with fluid, place face under the covers, because all my friends are dying, some faster than the others. I'm trying to distract myself from the fears that I've discovered. I did feel like a lunatic when I was writing it. I felt like I kind of am. But I did really feel like I was, falling down rabbit holes, making these strange connections, like Charlie Day from that episode of Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where he's like, there's no such a person as, Sylvia something? Yeah, that one. I can't remember the name, but that one. I felt like that. And that's kind of what it's about. It's about not being able to process the trauma that has befallen you, and then the consequences of that is you spiraling into a mental prison and not being able to think straight. And it's also about the catharsis of pulling it all together and understanding it and realizing, will anyone listen to this? Because I'm running away from it all, my stomach's sick and all this kind of stuff. But it kind of almost feels like at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if anyone listens to it, because I finally put it to bed. I finally strung it together. I finally understood myself.